When a small child falls apart, the thing that actually calms them down isn't willpower. It isn't a deep breath. It's another person, a hand on the back, a steady voice saying, "I'm here." Someone staying calm while their whole little body shakes. Psychologists have a name for this. They call it co-regulation, the process where a child's nervous system learns how to settle by borrowing calm from someone else's. It's not a luxury. It's not spoiling. It is, quite literally, how a human being learns to feel safe. Now picture a child who never quite got that. Not because anyone was cruel, not because anything dramatic happened, but because when they were upset, the room stayed quiet. When they were scared, no one came close. When they fell apart, they were left to put the pieces back together on their own. And here's the thing. That child adapted brilliantly. They learned to comfort themselves, alone, with whatever they had. And the adults around them looked on and said, "What a strong kid, so independent, so mature," never realizing that the self-reliance they were praising was actually a quiet wound, wearing the clothes of maturity. If any part of that already feels a little too familiar, stay with me, because in the next few minutes, we're going to walk through 8 things adults do when they were never really comforted as children. And I think by the end, a few of these are going to explain patterns you've spent your whole life assuming were just you. Let's start with the quietest one. Number 1. You go completely silent when something hurts. Back then, you may have cried and found that the crying changed nothing. No one came, or someone told you to stop, or the response was so flat that your body learned the lesson faster than your mind ever could. Making noise doesn't bring help, so the noise stopped. Now, when something genuinely hurts, you don't reach for the phone. You don't say it out loud. You go quiet and you disappear into yourself, and you process the whole thing in silence. The people around you assume you're handling it beautifully. You're not handling it. You're surviving it. Alone, because no one ever taught your nervous system that another person's voice could be part of the way out. And that silence, it turns out, has a physical twin. Number 2, you soothe yourself with small, repetitive actions. When there was no one there to rock you, or pat your back, or hum you down from the panic, your small body simply invented its own rhythm. You rocked yourself. You twisted your hair. You rubbed your thumbs together. You built your own metronome because nobody else was going to hold the beat for you. And that rhythm grew up with you. Now you scroll for an hour without absorbing a single thing. You fidget. You tap. You reorganize a drawer that was already fine. We call these nervous habits, but that's not really what they are. They're the grown-up version of a child rocking themselves to sleep in a room where no one was coming. The repetition is the comfort. Your body still reaches for it every time the world gets too loud. Sometimes, though, it reaches for something warmer. Number 3, you go looking for heat when you're overwhelmed. Human warmth wasn't reliably available. So your body found the next closest thing, a blanket pulled tight, a radiator to lean against, warm water, physical heat that mimicked the temperature of being held, without needing another person there to do the holding. So now you take a long, hot shower when you're stressed, and you tell yourself it's just to relax. You wrap both hands around a warm mug when you're not even cold. You burrow under a heavy blanket in the middle of summer. These aren't quirks, they're stand-ins. Your nervous system reaching out to objects for the sensation of being comforted, because it never fully learned to receive that from people. Which brings us to something that only shows up in front of others. Number 4, you can't cry when someone else is in the room. Long ago, you cried and the room didn't soften, the arms didn't open. The tears fell, and what came back was silence, or awkwardness, or "You're fine, stop." And your body drew a very clear conclusion. Being vulnerable in front of someone doesn't bring relief, it just brings exposure. So now you can cry alone, in the shower, in the car, at 2 in the morning when the whole house is asleep. But the second someone is watching, it locks. Your throat tightens, your eyes burn, and nothing comes out. It isn't that you're tough, it's that your body has quietly linked an audience with no help arriving, and it refuses to open up in a room it doesn't trust to catch it. And that same instinct shows up when the help actually does arrive. Number 5, your body tenses when someone tries to comfort you. When comfort didn't come as a child, or came late, or came with conditions, your system slowly stopped expecting it. And a nervous system that stops expecting comfort doesn't just forget about it, it reclassifies it. opposite. Comfort becomes unfamiliar. Unfamiliar becomes suspicious. And suspicious becomes something the body instinctively pulls back from. So now a partner wraps their arms around you when you're low, and instead of melting, your shoulders climb. A friend offers to just sit with you, and you hear yourself say, "I'm fine, honestly, you don't have to." The care arrives, and your body doesn't know what to do with it. It isn't rejection. It's closer to an immune response, treating incoming warmth like something it doesn't recognize and can't quite let in. So if other people couldn't be the source of calm, someone had to be, and that someone became you. Number 6. You have an inner voice that walks you through the hard moments. Nobody narrated your pain for you back then. No one crouched down and said, "I know this is scary, but you're going to be okay." So you built that voice yourself. You became your own narrator, your own steady parent. The calm internal presence that says, "You've got this," because no external voice ever said it first. Now you coach yourself through anxiety. You talk yourself through decisions like a manager briefing an employee. People call it self-awareness, and it is. But it's also the sound of a child who quietly built a parent out of words, because the real comfort never showed up with any. And there's one more role that child learned to play. This one for everybody else. Number 7. You're the person everyone comes to when they're falling apart. No one comforted you, so you studied comfort from the outside. You watched what other people needed, and you learned to give it. Not because you had a full supply of it yourself, but because giving it was the closest you could get to understanding what it might have felt like to receive. So now you're the friend who always knows what to say. The one who shows up with soup and a steady presence. And it's real. You genuinely care. But underneath the generosity, there's a quiet ache. Because you hand out the exact thing you were never given. And you do it so well that it rarely occurs to anyone to offer it back. Which leads us to the last one. The thread that ties all 7 together. Number 8. You feel most at peace when you're completely alone. Because co-regulation never really happened, your body never learned that another person's presence could be the thing that settles you. It learned the opposite, that people are unpredictable, and that the only truly reliable path to calm is to remove them from the equation entirely. And you notice it in small ways. Your shoulders drop the moment the last person leaves. Your breath goes deeper when the house finally falls quiet. Your muscles unclench in solitude in a way they simply never do in company. It isn't introversion. It's a nervous system that only ever learned one way to feel safe, by itself. And here's the quietly painful part. You may deeply want to be soothed by someone. Your body just doesn't know how to let it happen yet. So if you followed all 8 of those and felt something tighten in your chest, I want to say this as clearly as I can. The self-soothing you built was never a flaw. It was a feat of engineering. A small child, without any of the right tools, figured out how to calm a nervous system that was designed to be calmed by 2 people, not 1. That is not weakness. That is extraordinary. But every workaround has a limit. Comforting yourself keeps you functioning. It keeps you going. What it can't do, what it was never meant to do alone, is make you feel held. And you don't have to throw any of it away. You don't have to unlearn how to soothe yourself. You just get to learn, slowly, that it was never supposed to be the only option on the table. That another person's calm, offered freely, without you earning it, without you performing for it, was the original design all along. And it's still available to you. If even one of these felt like someone had quietly described your life back to you, tell me in the comments, which number hit the hardest? Number 1 or number 8? I read every single one. And if this put words to something you've carried for a long time, subscribe and stay with us.